there might be a silver lining to the end of this week's episode of The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. Because unfortunately, the worst thing that could happen seemingly has happened, and that is the two heroes pretty much dying on the ground with Usato running in to face off against the Black Knight, who can reflect literally any damage back, and seemingly there's no vulnerabilities. The reason why there might be a silver lining is the vision we saw a couple of weeks back, or 3 or 4 weeks back. At this point, we saw them just what seemed to be them, dead on the ground. What we might have actually seen wasn't the end that we're trying to avoid, but rather the beginning of what could be the end. I don't think, based on what we've seen so far, that Usato could have done anything to change that end of the episode. No matter what, they were probably going to get skewered and stabbed and start bleeding out. What I actually think is happening here was that the vision was about letting him know that he does need to focus on them, because had he never gone to rush after them, they would have bled out and died there for sure. What's clearly happening here, at least from my point of view, is that he's rushing in. He will see his greatest fears. He'll probably be petrified. But because he's there, they won't immediately die. He'll start fighting. Maybe someone can grab them, retreat, heal them up. There's a lot of ways it could go, but now, it seems more like, rather than that being a vision, to prevent it from ever happening, it's a vision to know that it would happen, and you can save them. And now that he's there, maybe healing magic is going to be the key in order to defeat something that can reflect everything. I don't see any other way. Because if light magic or lightning magic, where there's literally no vulnerabilities, healing magic is the only thing that's probably left. So hopefully he can do it. But this is, like, worst case scenario with a slight silver lining that it feels like there was no way to prevent them from ever getting stabbed anyway. So rather than that being the end of a vision, it actually seems like it was the start. A bit of a warning to get your ass over there before they completely get skewered. I have a full live reaction to this week's episode of The Wrong Way to Use Human Magic over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full and cut thoughts, over there. If you're interested alongside all the other episodes. Jesus, this was a great episode. I really thought we had at least an episode before things would pop off, because even though the title of the episode made it like, oh, the Black Knight arrives, I was like, oh, they might start it, but they're going to prepare for war, right? Like they're going to get set? No, they just jump into it and it's frightening. It really is. I like seeing, though, a character like Usato who does use healing magic in a different location than you're used to when a big battle starts off, because usually, especially with anime, you're following the characters that go to the front lines like you're fighting. You're doing this and that. And the idea that the army used illusions and made them waste their attack, positioned them in the incorrect way, and then they had to rush over it, set them in disarray. And the fact that within a couple of minutes of the battle starting, people are already being dragged back to the tents. And that's so realistic because, of course, there's always medics in wars that do try to get people out of there and try to treat them. But it's a completely different thing when you have basically characters that can use healing magic. It's much more important. The unfortunate thing about healing magic is, while sure, if a doctor or a nurse had nerves while doing something crucial to save someone's life, they're going to mess up or potentially have the ability to mess up and hurt them. But it's harder for a character like Usato, who literally has to keep his composure. Else the healing, no, we see the waves of the magic get a little frantic, and it doesn't do the job properly, and people bleeding out in front of him, it's setting him off. So if anything, actually getting to the front lines and dragging people back is much more fitting for him, because less nerves, and he feels like the adrenaline will keep him going in a better way. We see it at one point when he saves that one guy, and as he's running with him, he's actually healing him on the fly, which was really cool. And by the end of the episode, he actually ends up saving him, which probably Asada would have died there. I thought Rose was going to save his ass. No, it was the dude he saved earlier in the episode. But the thing about the Black Knight that is really freaky is I actually don't think it has a weakness. As it stands, the only thing that makes sense is healing magic. But I don't know how healing magic would do it, but I'm sure there'll be something that he can do, but that's going to be the key. I feel when something looks to have a vulnerability and it's all just a bullshit to make you think you got him. I thought it would be something like, oh, you go in between the plates. Like, oh, There's, like, these ridges in the helmet. You can attack there, but anything you do to it, it reflects back to you. You stab it, you get stabbed. You cut it, you get cut. You toss a light magic orb at its shoulder. Our boy starts gushing blood. It is absolutely broken, but I honestly thought they got him. So we saw at the start of this episode. Some soldier stabbed in the back and then died. So when you see our girl end up doing the same thing and it seemingly worked, I didn't think that was bullshit, because the way she explained it, like, oh, you didn't sense me? And she's literally lightning. Like, lightning quick. So I thought, oh, she was so speedy, and it was distracted that's why it worked. And then it was just like, nah. I don't have to say reflect. I don't have to know you're there. It's up to me when I reflect. It's not automated. I let you think this so I can make sure. You had the worst, painful attack thrown back against you. And I'm like, oh, no. I just knew at that point. The only thing that was a little surprising about this episode is I thought the episode would end with Usato literally getting there, seeing that same vision take place, and then it would cut. He's still running to get there. It's not good. It really isn't. Healing magic has to be the key in order to defeat this. There has to be a weakness at some point. Otherwise, we'd need a character like Yogairai from my instant death ability to kill this fool. But you know something? That's like wanting a challenge. When you get to a certain level of brokenness and you like killing, things just must be boring for you. So that's probably why, like, oh, there's kidnappers. That sounds fun. This is a game because what else is going to entertain a psychopath that's this evil, right? But they did such a good job at saying, you knew this was coming. Anyone who was acting like, oh, I didn't think they were gonna get hurt, bitch. The title says the Black Knight appears, and very quickly, the two heroes are going up against something that was proving that damage wasn't capable to be thrown on it. If you didn't expect something similar, if not the exact same vision that has been petrifying our boy, I don't know what to tell you. It was very obvious the death flags were raised at the start of this episode. Had we not seen that vision in previous episodes? When the two of them are talking before the battle starts taking place about how we'll all get back, I'm sure this, that, and the third. If you're not saying they're raising the red flag, waving it as if they have a death target painted on their back, I really don't know what to tell you. Like, they want you to assume they are going to die. We are hoping, and we assume they probably will survive if things do go according to plan. But you knew this was coming, but it still hit you like a freight train. Because the biggest thing that was the surprise was that they made it seem like they found a weakness to the black armor. And unfortunately, that was all for show. I mean, sure, they did have some fun, and they let our guard draw up a little or let us catch our breath at the start of the episode. It was fun. It was cute. But as soon as the battle actually kicked off and you saw that they decoyed them and forced them to not be at the proper position at the start of the battle, you knew shit was going to get crazy. And honestly, man, say even if you defeat the Black Knight here, right, they're still bleeding out. Do we have enough time to heal them both? This was the thing that I was talking about. I think it was in last video or the video before Usato. If he has to pick between one or the other, if he only has enough healing magic or time to save one of them, who does he pick? How does he determine who to pick? Please, for the love of God, let Rose jump in so we can save them both. That's the worrying thing. I don't know, but Jesus, if they actually commit to killing one of them off, I will be shook. I hope they both survive, but it's not looking good right now. Let me know what you thought down below. This week's episode, we knew it was coming, but shit still hit me hard. Let me know how you're feeling. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe. If you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more. And like I mentioned, we have that full live reaction over on my Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, also, give you a video shout out. Today we got Phoenix, Jackson, Francis Monhendra, Jake Smith, Jackson Smith, and Nico Chibi. So I appreciate the support. Everyone, please take care and have a good